Welcome to All the Little Things, the podcast where we explore the small habits that create big results. Today, we're talking about food, how simple, mindful changes to what we eat can improve energy, focus, and well-being without breaking the bank.
Martin, we're really excited to have you here. Your work in genetics, nutrition, and sustainability has shaped the way that we think about food and its impact on our health. From pioneering nutrigenomics to influencing major policy changes, you've been at the forefront of some groundbreaking advancements. But before we dive into all that, let's take a step back. What first sparked your passion for nutrition and the science behind how food affects your bodies? How did that journey help you lead you where you are today?
Okay, well, this started, I guess at this point, it's almost 50 years ago. That dates me already. And I had a personal issue that the allopathic medicine just couldn't fix. And I went to all the experts, they couldn't get it resolved. And then by coincidence, I met someone while I was picking up some work, and I was really sick. This was high fevers, etc. And I met someone that I knew from the university, but I didn't know that he was a homeopath, not that I knew anything about homeopathy back then. And I ran into him and told him what was going on. I'd been sick for about a half a year. And he looked in my eyes and said, here, there's a pharmacy that I was in Germany at the time. There's a pharmacy in Frankfurt. You can get these homeopathics. And I figured, look, I'd tried everything, gone to like 8 different experts, injections in my throat. It was a long-term antibiotic use, etc. And nothing seemed to help except for maybe the first or second after the treatment, I went into remission, and then it came back with a vengeance. So needless to say, 2-3 days after taking the homeopathics, I was on my way to improvement dramatically. And within less than a week, I was cured, literally. Never had the recurrence of that. And from that point forward, I always was looking at alternatives and, anything that's not mainstream to see if those things would work. And sure enough, over my career, which it's now 50 years, I've found a lot of things. And it's really fascinating that we have so many solutions available to us. But unfortunately, the system is geared towards making money. So how did this form well, like I said, I started looking for alternatives in every area. I've been using botanicals for decades now. I make tinctures out of them, all kinds of products from them, transdermal as well as teas, etc. And I got into genetics about, what is it now, 25 years ago, or longer. Actually, it's like 27 years ago, and was one of the pioneers in genetics. And we were doing mostly diagnostics. And because financing was always difficult, we had an alternative to PCR. And the winds were really against us in bringing this to the market. So always looking for a way to keep the company alive. And I went into predictive genetic testing. We got a certified laboratory and started doing mutation analysis. At that time, the whole genome wasn't completed. And, this was very fascinating to me about genetics due to other reasons that are too lengthy to go into at this point. But the bottom line was when we examined, for example, identical twins and looked at all the studies on identical twins where one got some degenerative disease and the other one lived a long, healthy life. And the question was why? And the why, and identical twins will have the same chromosome. So they have the X and the Y chromosomes are identical. And so it couldn't be the genes that made them different. And after a lot of exploration, we found that it was really environmental factors and dietary factors that affect the epigenome, which is probably very, lacking in understanding system. This was especially at that time. We knew about it, but nobody was really examining anything related to it. And the epigenome has to do with chemical substances that control how genes behave. And this is looking at the coding genes. It may have to do with increased expression of a gene or decreased expression, sometimes completely turning on and off genes, which over time will cause some kind of problem. So fast forward, I became one of the experts in nutrigenomics, and understanding these. We developed a number of tests that helped to understand what people could do, either based on their habits or based on their eating habits mostly, to improve their outcomes, their health outcomes. And so this was something that I continued on when I started a new company, which is the one that I'm currently working with, Evolutionary Leap Technologies. And I developed products based on that knowledge and providing all the basic building blocks to the body that it really needs to heal itself. And so this is something that I've been very passionate about. And I'm very blessed to have found a product that really does some great things.
Martin, this is Trey. Everything that you just said was absolutely fantastic. It's super fascinating. One question that I have for you, because I am an athlete, what's something that you have taught people to do, practical insights on healthy eating every single day? What are some disciplines every day that you've helped other people see that they can do? Like for instance, for us, we try to eat 5 or 6 meals a day, smaller meals, and we're not supposed to eat after 8 o'clock as an athlete. What are things that you're teaching your clients and your people that you guys got going on?
Well, it's mostly about eating clean and also detoxifying the body. Unfortunately, in the last 20, 30 years, a lot of not just pollution from environmental sources, but primarily the pollution of our food supply. Okay. And this has really accelerated in the last decade, and it's causing a lot of problems with people. So I recommend the earlier uh, possible to start some regimen of detoxification. Now, as an athlete, you have a great mechanism that already helps you to detoxify, which is sweating. And that's a great alternate pathway to or a secondary pathway to glutathione metabolism. Glutathione being the primary molecule in the body that it's a great antioxidant, but it helps to detoxify heavy metals and chemicals and all the different things that the body doesn't need.
Okay. And for
So,
people that aren't athletes, what is a practical way that they can apply detox to their life? What does that look like?
well, look, I when I was doing my engineering, I was earning extra money translating books from the old naturopathic wizards from back before there was allopathic medicine. And I was translating them from German to English. And what I learned is that a lot of things back then were done in cures. Okay, and in fact, in Germany, there's every town that's where the name is includes the word Bad, like Bad Soden, Bad Neuenahr, Bad Baden-Baden. All those things are baths, okay, and they specialize in different things: cardiovascular, lung, uh, you know. So the cures are pretty much what we see in religious I guess, cultures where people will fast or do certain things to cleanse their body. Only back then that you only needed a daily fast, but nowadays you need to do a lot more. So really depending on where you live, but it really is a source of that's in the food now. So I'll give you an example. So they've started using quite a while back all different types of bacterial toxins as natural preservatives, and they qualify as that because they kill off all kinds of bacteria. So these bacteria, to survive and proliferate, will produce a certain toxin. They usually produce numerous toxins. And a certain one in some of the bacteria is very efficient at killing off other bacteria. So they put this into all different types of food products that then destroys the gut genome. Because these obviously stop bacterial growth in food products before they're consumed, but then obviously will do the damage to the gut. And that's what I'm seeing a lot of these days is SIBO, or I call it biofilm, intestinal biofilm. And it is a big handicap as people age. This will diminish the absorption capacity in the small intestine. And so the body's not getting the appropriate nutrient supply that it needs to have a strong immune system, et cetera, et cetera. So being mindful of what you eat, if you eat products that are contaminated with glyphosate, for example, that's another big culprit. Glyphosate is Roundup, and it's used, they genetically modified plants to survive the exposure to Roundup so that weeds could be killed off, which competed with the nutrients in the soil. And now, in order to bring products to market quicker, they douse the crop with glyphosate right before harvest. Actually, it works fantastic. You douse them, meaning you put a lot of the stuff on there, and the next morning, all the plants are desiccated and easy to harvest. That glyphosate is now in the plants to a higher concentration, which we consume if you're eating plants, and then is also fed to animals who will now also suffer the consequence of the glyphosate in their body, and that you then consume the meat of. So
Wow.
these are all things that you need to be mindful of, and if you can't avoid them, and you can't avoid them all, you have
Yeah, I
to
was about
take
to
steps.
say, and the only way I feel like you can avoid it is just to go off the face of the planet of the earth and just farm fresh everything at this point. Like,
Yeah, but
what are you even
listen,
supposed to
it's
do?
unpractical. Well, you got to be practical about it. So you've got to be mindful that these things are there, and then you've got to do things to, basically repair or reverse the damage that they're causing. So that would involve detoxification of heavy metals, of chemicals in your body. There's different things that will help you do that. Zeolite is a very simple to use substance. You've got to be also very careful. There's a lot of network marketing that's going on, touting these little drops of zeolite, which they claim pass the blood-brain barrier and into the bloodstream, et cetera. And it really isn't the way the substance works. You need to take a larger quantity. It resides mostly in your small intestine. And as your blood circulates, which is, your small intestine is an area where a lot of blood circulates because that's where you pick up nutrients from your digested food. And so when the zeolite is present on the receptors, the blood that circulates will release some of these toxins because they're polar. And the zeolite has these little cages that attract certain polarities and will pull the things out of the bloodstream. And so doing a cure, again, getting back to the bath principle, doing a cure with that will remove a lot of things. Another thing you can do is take baths literally baths in water that has a lot of salt in it. And there's different salt concentrations that are recommended, and there's Epsom salts that work really well. And this initiates a proton pump effect in your metabolism, where your body then secretes or eliminates a lot of the toxins. So there's a lot of different ways that are practical that don't cost a lot of money that you can do, and you don't need to do it every day, but you do it on some kind of a schedule or whatever. Everybody's different. I don't keep to schedules that well, but I know my body tells me when I need to do something, and then I take care of it. So there's a lot of different ways. Like I said, sweating is a very good thing. So doing saunas, if you're not an athlete, you can do infrared saunas, you can do regular saunas. Um, there's a lot of other substances, like, for example, halides, which is a group of elements that's comprised of, well, one which is essential for us is iodine, but then we have fluoride, chloride, and bromide. Those are the other three that are not radioactive. One of them is a radioactive isotope. You don't need to worry about that. But the other three are everywhere. We've got fluoride and chloride in water. You're exposed to detergents that have chloride. Bromide is in every foam product, practically, urethane foam, etc. Makes it fire retardant, which is great. The baby won't burn in the crib because it's got clothes that are impregnated with bromide. But needless to say, the bromide then gets into the body through the skin and by inhalation as well, because they're pretty volatile. And chloride, bromide, and fluoride are all known to be bad for you in a lot of different ways. So we don't need to belabor that. I think most people know that. And so that's a very simple protocol to get rid of the halides, is with Lugol's iodine. And they're all over the internet. I'm not prescribing and diagnosing here because that's what the FDA is always after when somebody says something. I'm just saying this is a very practical thing that's common knowledge and is out there. You can do a Lugol's protocol and get rid of a lot of halides. And then on a regular basis or sporadically even take iodine. Lugol's is what I recommend. It's a combination of potassium iodide and elemental iodide. And that will keep the receptors from picking up the other halides. So these receptors are all over the body, especially around your thyroid. And when you have an exposure event of a lot of the other halides, they push away the iodine and occupy those receptors. So people that have issues with thyroid, the iodine is critical for production of the hormones that the thyroid makes. And the iodine also is a good disinfectant. So the bloodstream going through the thyroid will be disinfected to a small extent, but it's a contributing factor to the entire immune system, which is what you need to live long to keep strong.
Okay, awesome. Man, that is incredible. You just gave us a ton of little tokens to take away. So at the end of the day, the simplest thing that I got from this is fasting, working out, and sauna is something that can really detox people every single day. What is a simple thing that someone could eat every single day or work out every single day? How often? Like, I know there's going to be a lot of listeners that have just listened to everything that you just said, and they're kind of overwhelmed by all the information. What is something that they can do every single day, or maybe every 2 days or every 3 days, which includes fasting? How often are you supposed to fast? How often are you supposed to work out? How often are you supposed to do the sauna? And then are there any snacks? Are there any kind of foods that you would promote that will help what you just said?
Well, yes, there's a lot of foods, but the primary thing is cleaning up your food supply. Okay, so right now, for example, we're running a shortage in protein. And this is a global issue. Probably 50% of the global population is suffering a protein deficiency. Protein being the number one nutrient, I mean, the number one substance next to oxygen and water. So when everybody knows to use air filters to clean the air. You also want to drink purified water, which now contains all kinds of microplastics, but that's another subject. So the next one up for purification is the protein. Now, the problem with protein is, you just need it and you got to consume it and you got to eat whatever's there. And a lot of times it's not as clean as you'd hope. You can't always get grass-fed beef or organic vegetables. So my recommendation, and that's been my theory now for the last over 15, 16 years, is to get your protein from the essence of protein, which is what we really need out of the protein, are amino acids. So there's 9 essential amino acids that we absolutely have to consume in order to maintain our health and life. And so normally when you get an amino acid from a protein, first of all, you're using about half the energy in a given protein just to digest it. And then what you digest, over 50% of it are non-essential amino acids, meaning that the plant or the animal makes those amino acids for itself. So for a plant to make roots and leaves and flowers and seeds and stems and all those things that are unique to the plant. And with animals to make feathers and furs and, 5 stomachs in a cow and all the different things that make the animals different from us. So we spend a lot of energy digesting the food. And then after we absorb it, the body has to detoxify 50% over 50% of the amino acids that are not specific for us. So what I did is I went back to the drawing board, whereas other people were copying the amino acid profile of beef or something like that to come up with a good formula. I kind of went back to the drawing board and said, well, how much does a human metabolism really need? Because, all metabolites are made from amino acids. Almost everything in the body is made from amino acids. So we make hormones, enzymes, peptides, collagen. We make it, all those things from amino acids, or a huge percentage of it. So having an amino acid formulation that's ideally suited for what humans require does a number of different things. Number one, when I buy my amino acids, they're 99.9% pure. So that means it's only that stuff that you're looking for, nothing else. All right. The other thing is that your body doesn't need any digestive energy to absorb them because they're already in the form that the body needs. So you save that energy. Okay. And everything in the body is about energy. All right. Let's be clear about that. Without the energy that our mitochondria produce, we're not alive. And the more energy you have, the more capability you have of maintaining everything in optimal condition. So these amino acids now, when you absorb them, if you're taking pure amino acids, I don't recommend that because you waste a lot of them because they're used for ATP production themselves. But they're best used for the production of all the metabolites that the body needs. Like I stated, the hormones, peptides and collagen and all those things. So when you take amino acids on a daily basis, you supplement your protein intake. You're also doing a great thing for the planet because now you don't have to torture animals to make food from them. You don't need to, do the farming practices that are necessary to maintain the population levels that we have, because these things are fermented by bacteria. You use some feedstock for them. Usually molasses is the best. And the most expensive part of making them is purifying the sludge that they produce during fermentation to get down to the 99.9% purity of that amino acid. So that's what I recommend. And that's what, I practice what I preach. That's what I do for my business. and I've been taking them for the last, I guess, almost 13 years in the formulation that I have. And I do quite well with that. I'm 73 at this point and still have plenty of energy. I work all day, and there's no holding me back. I actually don't eat during the day. I just drink my formula and then have one meal at night.
Well, thank you again so much. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to share and leave a review. Every little bit helps us bring more conversations like this to our listeners and you guys. Also, be sure to follow us on Instagram at all the underscore little things. And thank you all for listening. Thank you again, Martin.
Thank you. And yes, I'll share this with my group, and I'm sure my customers would want to listen to it as well. Thank you for the opportunity to get my knowledge out there.
Oh, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. We appreciate your time.